Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John, and I will be continuing my series of the top 5 albums of 2021. I'll be covering different musical genres in rock and metal. So in today's video, I will be talking about my top 5 thrash metal albums of 2021. This will include bands fall under the category of thrash metal. So remember, if I don't include an album, I may be putting it on a different list. So last year, my top 5 thrash metal albums of 2020 was actually one of my most viewed videos. I think right now it has close to 2,000 views. And that is because 2020 was a really great year for thrash. This year, I'd say it was good, but not as good as 2020. But I will also say my number one pick is probably one of the best thrash albums in the past few years. But with that being said, 2022 looks really good for thrash metal already. We got Megadeth and Annihilator already confirmed releases, and probably a couple more. So let me jump right into it. Coming in number 5 is Artillery with X. So Artillery is a thrash band from Denmark. They've been around a long time, since 1982. You can even say they're kind of like one of the pioneers of the genre. They don't really get a lot of recognition, as many other bands get. But they have released many influential albums, such as Fear of Tomorrow from 1985, Terror Squad from 1987, and By Inheritance in 1990. They're basically a mix of thrash metal and power metal. So one song I like is In Thrash We Trust. And it's exactly what it is. It's a fast and heavy thrash metal song. The riffs are heavy, the vocals are a little more like thrashier, whereas there are more like clean vocals on this album. And the song is just a straightforward thrasher, just packed with riffs. Another one I like, The Ghost of Me. This is a power ballad, but it is not really like a thrash metal ballad. It's something like similar to Metallica or Testament. It's more of a melodic, like 80s style power ballad. But this was one that kind of stood out on the album, and I liked it a lot. So this is why I have it in my top 5. Coming in number 4 is Mordred with The Dark Parade. So they are a different kind of thrash band. They mix in some elements of like hip hop. They've been around a while. They've been around since the early 90s. Also one of the first metal bands to use like those like turntable scratches in their songs. And they play type of thrash metal. It's kind of like a mixture of like that like comedy and metal. So if you think of bands from like the early 90s like Scatterbrain or MOD, so it's kind of that type of band. But even though they are original, I did like this album a lot, and I thought I would include it. A couple good songs, Demonic number 7. This one has some pretty cool like Iron Maiden type of lead guitar riffing. And it is a thrash metal song. It still has those turntable scratches and heavy riffs. And the vocals do that combination of like the singing and rapping. Lots of lead guitar solos and lots of heavy riffs. Another one I like called All Eyes on the Prize. This one starts with like a short spoken word intro, kind of sets the stage for like this type of like, kind of like a nightmare. I really like the opening riff to the song, very catchy riff, and I like the vocals here. Kind of gives me that like early 90s feel. And the background vocals kind of has this like old school vibe, and so that's kind of one of the standout songs on that album. Coming in at number 3 is Evil with Hell Unleashed. So Hell Unleashed is their 5th studio album and the first since 2013. So basically their first album in 8 years. Evil is one of those bands that kind of like the new wave of modern thrash. They started in the mid 2000s. This album has been, they've been working on it for a while. They started working on it back in 2016, but they had a lot of internal problems. Like one of their guitarists left. And then another member, Oliver Drake, he came back to the band, and then their lead vocalist left. And so they moved Oliver Drake to just play guitar and do vocals. So because of that, and this album sounds a little different than their other ones, but it's still very heavy, a little more aggressive than the previous albums, and I think it's a little more of like a death metal influence, whereas the other ones were like straight metal thrash. But I do get like a Sepultura vibe from this particular album. A couple good songs, Incarcerated. This one has some clean guitars, pretty cool melodic solo. And I like the intro, kind of reminds me a little of Megadeth, and think of the song like In My Darkest Hour. But this is an aggressive thrash metal, like hybrid type of song. I really like the galloping riffs on the song. The breakdown riff on it is really great and one of my favorite parts on the album. And they do change tempos a lot, so I like that. And they do keep it interesting. Coming in at number 2 is Flotsam Jetsam with Blood in the Water. So Flotsam Jetsam, they're like one of those like legacy bands. Kind of like thrash metal, but they have like the cleaner vocals. Some people call them speed metal, but you know, they are under the umbrella of thrash metal. They do kind of mix a lot of like traditional heavy metal, especially on this album. And I do get a lot of like Iron Maiden vibes in the riffing on this particular album. So one song I like, The Walls. This is a great song, more reminiscent of like 80s heavy metal, you know, specifically Iron Maiden. And, you know, really great song. And also probably one of the catchiest, most melodic songs on this album. It has those galloping guitars. And the last song I like, 7 Seconds Till the End of the World. Just one of those like fast, just very aggressive song. And this is like one of those like great like closers, you know, like most thrash albums, they like to close with a real like fast and heavy banger. And this is the one for the album. But it still has some melodic parts, and it's just a really great Flotsam Jetsam song. And my number 1 probably won't be a surprise, but it is Exodus, Persona Non Grata. A latecomer. It was released not too long ago, maybe like a month. I did a full review, also one of my most viewed videos, over 1,000 views. This is just great, and I wasn't really expecting to like this, but it's just really great old school metal. This album might even be good as some of their classics like Fabulous Disaster. You know, that's how good it is. We got Persona Non Grata, just amazing riffs on that one. Elitist, I really like that one. That one's grown on me a lot. Prescribing Horror, that one's really great. You got to watch the music video because you kind of understand what they're talking about. You know, back in the old days, they used to give this medicine, I think it's called thiamine or something like that, to pregnant women, and these babies were being born like without limbs and all deformed. And you know, they talk about like the whole horror story about that. Other ones, Clickbait, that was a single, but I like that one a lot. Costa del Pantano, that's one of the like shorter instrumentals, but it has that like bluegrass feel, kind of similar to the song on Fabulous Disaster, which is Cajun Hell. And Antacid, last song, this is just such a banger, that last one. And again, they close out this album with such a great album. And like I said in the beginning of this video, this is probably one of the best thrash albums. Definitely the best of the year, and maybe like the best in the past few years. You know, maybe even like the best considering 2020. And that's it. So tomorrow we'll be continuing my series, probably through Monday through Friday. We'll be doing different lists. So tomorrow I will be doing another top 10. I'm going to be doing like rock albums or hard rock albums. These are, you know, mostly like kind of like newer bands, some like legacy bands, but just doing like hard rock or some variation of hard rock. So please remember, like, comment, subscribe. Check out the other videos I hear. So this is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John, and I'll see you all in the next one.